I didn't want to build a separate standard for the same thing.
Last year was also the year where just about every company you can think of launched a coding agent.
And it was quite clear from the user perspective that it's a puzzle we have to solve.
Agents can just start integrating ACP, and we get the benefit of our users having more choice, getting to choose the tools that they want to use.
It's not an agent, it's a phenomena. That thing supports ACP as well.
The ACP unlocks the ability to kind of have things that sit between the agent and the client, and I think that will unlock a lot of new opportunities.
So help me understand, what is ACP? Coding agents are everywhere right now. They're evolving very fast, but for developers that usually means fragmented tools, one-off integrations, and general frictions when you're trying new and shiny tools. Hi, my name is Nicholas, and today we're talking about ACP, which was an effort by Zed and JetBrains to tackle exactly this problem. I'm here, luckily, with Ben from Zed and Sergey from JetBrains. Welcome. Before we get started, I want to talk about ACP, what it is and what it means for developers. Can you help me out here?
Sure, yeah. So ACP stands for Agent Client Protocol. Like most protocols before it, you can think of MCP, the Model Context Protocol, or LSP, Language Server Protocol. These are attempting to kind of create a standard way for tools to talk to each other. And yeah, ACP is all about allowing agents to talk to some form of client that a user is using. So connecting these agents to maybe a unified way of interacting with these tools, and agreeing on a way to talk about kind of these core agentic primitives that we can both build on top of.
I think the analogy with LSP is crucial here. Basically, it's a separation of concerns between the user visible part and the core part. Core part in that case is agents per se. And it's also very important that such kind of protocols, domain protocols, eliminate end-by-end problem, and you can develop your own agent, and after it automatically will be plugged into a bunch of editors and vice versa. And I suppose it's important to know that we started that initiative as a protocol between local agents and local editors. But we keep in mind, and right now we have some effort towards supporting remote scenarios. So we have people building their clients either mobile or completely remote orchestrators. They tend to use ACP as a protocol between your user visible parts and some core parts inside.
What motivated Zed to get started with an effort like this?
Yeah, so early last year we launched a revamped agent panel. It looked a lot like the agent panels you see in lots of editors, and we were really happy with it. We really liked how our agent handled things. But last year was also the year where, I don't know, just about every company you can think of launched a coding agent, and our users, different users want to try different things, and I think why we keep coming back to LSP is LSP allows basically the ecosystem to define, for a particular programming language, all of this domain knowledge, and then as an editor we can leverage all of that community knowledge and provide it to our users. And so it became clear there's going to be a lot of agents. We don't know where this is going to go, but we want to allow our users to use the tools that they love, and that might be something that's not our agent. And I think then it was okay, well, we could do some one-off integrations for the popular ones, but that's going to be a lot of effort and maintenance, and then we're going to have to say, oh, well, we don't want to integrate this one because that's work on our end. So okay, is there a way that would allow us to more generalize this, adopt like LSP for agents? Can we make a way where we can define a protocol that these things can talk, and then we can help jumpstart this by making some adapters on our end, but hopefully, and this luckily has turned out to be the case, agents can just start integrating ACP, and we get the benefit of our users having more choice, getting to choose the tools that they want to use, and they get the consistent user interface that they're used to in Zed, but with different brains behind the scene that kind of allow them to tackle the problems they want.
I'm now in the fortunate position that I know for a fact that JetBrains had similar ideas, but you were more involved with that. Sergey, can you enlighten us a little bit what happened there and why we ultimately decided to join forces on ACP?
Yeah, as Ben said, last year, or even we started to do that as an industry 2 years ago, every single program just split it in two parts, like the main part and some right part is the chat first, And we spent, as an industry, a lot of time integrating different models there. And last year, it wasn't an exception here at JetBrains. We did our own agent, and we ended up with a situation when we have like a panel on the right where people are interacting with the model of their choice, another panel, the same size, the same colors, the same placement basically, with an agent inside. And it was quite clear from the user perspective that it's a puzzle we have to solve. I participated in a bunch of interviews, and people saying, okay, I said them directly, okay, you go there, open this AI panel. They said, okay, I can do that. And they opened Juni panel and vice versa. And this kind of thing brought us to the point we decided, okay, we have to separate, we have to build a separate layer where we're integrating the agent, and basically it's a protocol. It's not a product, it's a protocol, and we started to bring that back to July, I suppose, last year.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe after several weeks of designing things, we were about to publish that to the internet. And at some point of time, I read that article on Hacker News, I suppose remember, it was Hacker News. And they said, okay, we are not the first. And I dropped a message to Ben, I suppose it was you.
Yeah.
And asking, is there any chance how we can collaborate here? Because definitely, in my mind, I didn't want to build a separate standard for the same thing. And I suppose after some discussions, we decided to join the efforts.
So in that conversation, was there anything that was kind of difficult to align on or agree on, or how did that happen?
I guess the answer is that it was, I guess, boring and no, because there really wasn't anything. I think what became clear immediately, I mean, from the outside, it's, oh, JetBrains and Zed are competitors competing. But it became clear that I think we all had the same spirit and love of providing a good developer experience. And that we're all really passionate about how can we, like what a software engineer is changing. And we need to journey with them, and we need to figure out how can we provide them the best tools to do their job. And I think it was just more of a kindred spirit, and we felt the same way, and it was very clear that we wanted to achieve the same goals. So from the beginning, I just felt like I had some new colleagues, and we were working on one team, and it's always felt that way. I think it's been a really great partnership. I think we've been able to learn a ton from each other.
Yeah, you can comment on that. Yeah, I definitely agree with what Ben said, and it feels like a virtual team, basically within one company rather than two competitors working on competing products. But while we were answering this question today, during the preparation, I think the very bright idea came to us, and that when you are working with people in this AI industry right now, they're very open to collaborate. They're very supportive, despite the fact that you can be formally competitors. People feel that for them it's better to work together right now in order to move the industry frontier further rather than to be competitors. And the second thing we noted that even working with big companies, it also feels like a hackathon rather than working with a big company, comparing to my experience back to days when you're just dropping an email and maybe you will get a call in a month. Right now, people answer immediately. So inside even big companies, people organize a group of people who are working in a very fast and agile manner. And that kind of culture is very pleasant. Yeah, really. I mean, jokes aside, I mean, it's a very nice experience. So imagine, like, it's not a collaboration between two companies. We are kind of driving the thing further, but people who are supporting us, they're very open as well. And the whole collaboration is very, it was a very pleasant journey, and I hope it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
Sounds great. I want to get a little bit more technical. So what can you tell me about ACP and its architecture and the underlying philosophy that influenced and shaped the architecture of ACP?
ACP's architecture is pretty simple. It's JSON RPC sending messages in two directions between the agent and client. And most of the protocol is just defining what are those messages and how do these two sides interact with each other. But for me, the core design philosophy is, if there's one thing that I know in the last few years is that I don't know what's going to come next with AI. It's going to change. And so I wanted the separation between the client and agent needed to allow as much flexibility as possible on both sides. We needed the agents to come up with crazy new ways of prompting, of using tools, coming up with things I don't know what they're trying yet, and leave as much flexibility as possible on what they can do within their agentic loop. And on the client side, we also have strong opinions on what's the best way for a user to interact with a computer. And so we need to also allow for that flexibility. So ideally, it's as simple as possible in terms of agreeing on what is like the minimum information an agent needs to provide to drive a UI and for a user to control that agent. But it needs to be semantically meaningful enough to actually build meaningful things on both sides. So it's a difficult balance to strike, to like thread that needle. I think we've done a decent job so far, and I'm excited about new additions to the protocol coming up. But yeah, ultimately it's how can we agree on the parts we need to deliver a good user experience and leave as much flexibility to innovate on both sides.
That brings up an interesting point. I'm wondering, where's ACP today? How developers benefit from it? What do they get by using ACP today?
From the developer's point of view, right now you have very smooth distribution. So in late January, on top of ACP, we built so-called ACP registry. Basically, it's a marketplace of agents who are capable of providing ACP information from their side. And right now, both sides, from Zed side and from our side, we're supporting this registry. And you can install your agent as a plugin, basically, seamlessly. So everything, we simplify distribution a lot. So all updates are going to be installed automatically. So you have to keep your agent in this registry. All the versions are going to be updated with the robot, and after people will get updates on their computer. And also it's access to new things to try. So if some said in your part of the internet that something is cool, you can go there and try. And for that, it's a very easy way how you can do it.
Yeah, I think from my side, the distribution part is key, because now I can learn how to use an agent within Zed or JetBrains. I can get used to where do I interact with this? How do I bring context in? How do I manage that context? These skills that I can build within my editor are now portable across agents. And then maybe I find out, this agentic harness is really good at these sorts of tasks, and this one's better at these, and I can try them out, find out when I want to use which agent, and now I can just swap between them, and I'm not having to relearn what are the keyboard shortcuts for this one or that one, or how do I, send a message. It's all very seamless for the user to find the best agent for the job that they're trying to do.
How does this look then for the agent trying to integrate with ACP? We talked a lot about how to use it, how it shapes clients. Pretending I'm an agent, I'm an agent. I want to support ACP. What do I do? Where do I even start?
So first we have to understand that there are two groups of people who are building agents. First of all, the first one, the group of people who are building gen-purpose developer tools and dev agents, and we see a bunch of them right now on the market. Everyone are building them, individuals, startups, mid-sized companies, gigantic companies, and AI labs. So there is a bunch of things there. And for them, we have all SDKs needed for them to use. We know that the most popular is TypeScript one. The second is Python. And also we have a bunch of tailor-made supported by community. And the second group of people, people who are building custom-built agents, rely on some agentic platforms or frameworks. For example, you want to build your agents for some specific needs, specific load within your current workflow or without your load in the company. You said, okay, I want to use a framework, and that framework allows you to plug your agent to ACP automatically. So what does it mean? Basically, you reduce a tax which you have to pay when you try to plug your agent to the editor. And as I said in the very beginning, we're just eliminating this M/N problem. And if you follow some specification and basically fill all the information needed from your site, you'll be automatically plugged to the editor. Yeah, this is the most simple answer, I suppose.
Yeah, I think like to this point, with so many agents to choose from, the key is getting your agent in front of engineers to actually use it. And I think that terminal UIs are great because you can run a terminal in lots of places. JetBrains and Zed, we both have a terminal in there. So like you can get, but I think what ACP allows is a much deeper integration. And as more clients are all like, we're getting a lot of ACP agents, but as we get more ACP clients, it means that your agent is now portable to wherever the developers want to do their work. And as long as you meet the specification, now your agent can suddenly be used to do analytical data or, write code or whatever else other clients there are. So I think it's really cool.
Can we take a moment and highlight, because when I started working with ACP, very pleasantly surprised how many agents there already are, but can we highlight some of the agents and clients that already support ACP today?
We can say that, first of all, we have all the players here. So from very beginning, like as I said, like individuals sending their pull request saying, hey, I built an agent over the weekend. Can you please list that thing? Like a bunch of startups working on dev tooling first, and also on some kind of platforms. Like for example, Factory is a good candidate here. The second story, we have companies who've been very established in this dev tooling market. For example, Docker has their agent also listed there. We have Google with Gemini from the very beginning. It was your initial integration with Google back to days.
Yep.
And also it was very pleasant to see AI labs the main business of them is to brew and endure models, but they also tend to have their agents. So Moonshot and Mistral supported ACP without approaching us from the very beginning. And that was quite crucial for me. It was very nice sign that, okay, it looks like the technology is adopted. There is no need to asking people directly, oh, is there a chance to support the technology or can we help here? They decided to do it on their own, which was a really good sign.
Yeah. I think in the last 6 months, what's really struck me is as more and more people are adopting the protocol, often without us interacting with them, is that there seem on both sides, both saw this need, and it seemed like ACP fit this need that everyone was feeling. And so now they have a way to integrate their agents and for us to integrate agents into the client. And so I think it's been really rewarding to see that this need was felt, and now people are adopting it and providing feedback, building stuff without necessarily needing help. But for me, it's a huge sign of success that we've launched something that is useful and people are finding a lot of value out of it.
Oh yeah, the final thought here is the main contributor right now by number of downloads is the thing we found this week.
Yeah.
So it was a spike in downloads, and we start digging there. So like millions of downloads there. And we found out that this thing called MuzzleBot back to last week, and this week it's called OpenClaw, which is tremendously popular. It's not an agent, it's a phenomena. Let's call it that way. And that thing supports ACP as well.
Last question that I have, what's coming next? What's the future of ACP going to look like? What can people get excited about?
Yeah, as lead maintainer, a big project of mine in the last few months was establishing a way for all of these companies to work together to like meaningfully bring in the feedback. And so we have a request for discussion or RFD process that you can submit, hey, I have an idea, and all the maintainers and anyone else who has, thoughts can help refine the design. Then we go through a phase of implementation and get feedback and eventually adopt it into the protocol, which has been working, I think, really nicely. And I think there's a lot of small things like we need, maybe more options for showing diffs in files, stuff for how to handle, prompt workflows, and can we make these more flexible? So there's small things here, but there's also some exciting ones for me, which is looking into ways to have kind of portable logic that's similar to an MCP server or a skill, but also maybe something else. And there's this, allowing the ACP unlocks the ability to kind of have things that sit between the agent and the client, and I think that will unlock a lot of new opportunities. Like there's one project right now trying to help agents be better at Rust, and this thing is now portable across multiple agents, and it's able to consolidate all of the Rust knowledge from the Rust ecosystem. And it's neither a client nor an agent, but it's able to, you can kind of stick it in between, and all agents get better at writing Rust code.
Yeah, it's a very nice thing to explore. It's basically a condensed knowledge on how to do things, and that knowledge should be agent agnostic. And if some shiny new agent is going to appear, you can say, okay, may I try it? And you will reuse all the logic there. But answering your initial question about the future, I think our very close future is very straightforward. You have to close the gap between things happen in terminal-based UIs. People explore this area, and comparing to what we got back to September, October, we have a bunch of new shiny things to port, basically. We see some adoption, and we see people are repeating the same patterns again and again. That usually means it does make sense to bring it to the protocol. A second story, we want to use ACP as a protocol between local machines and remote agents. And as I said, we have some clients, for example, mobile clients and web clients. We want to do that stuff. We want to add some things required for that. So inside the JetBrains, we have a project of running these remote machines with agents. So this is also ACP capable. So definitely it's going to be some work towards that. And we also want to explore what kind of tools we can bring from the client side to agent. For example, when you're working on a smaller project and you kind of on your hobby one, you can rely on tools which you have on your command line. But when you're saying, hey, we want to try to use the same thing for big enterprise, hey, it's definitely interesting thing to try. But when you're starting to rolling this out, you will get more and more performance issues because of the scale. And we want to explore the area, what kind of tools we have to bring from the client side to agent in order to either speed up or simplify the development.
So I think, like, in terms of the future, when we started the protocol, we had a vision that I think this wouldn't necessarily be tied to coding agents. But coming from Zed, we were a coding editor and we were starting with coding agents. So we wanted to build this based off of the direct needs we had. And what I'm really excited about is seeing as more people are coming on, there's kind of a shared vision that this solves a more generic problem for any type of agent going to any type of UI. And I think that there's going to be some work and exploration needed on how we're going to support that. But I think with the work you all are doing on moving to remote agents, I think it makes it clear that this will move beyond just things running on my machine to open up a really exciting new avenue of just how do we as humans in this new agentic world interact with these things? And I think that there will be a lot of experimentation and exploration here, and I'm excited to see how ACP can help support that.
That was a fantastic answer.
Yeah, but I think I want to add here, unfortunately, I want to add here that for me it's important, as Ben answered on a question about the design principles, that we want to stay let's say domain focus, because you can build a protocol super generic and say, hey, there's a bidirectional communication between two different particles. They can do whatever they want and send whatever information they want, and after you can build any type of system on top of that. And from my experience, sometimes it's too generic and people basically have no idea how to use it. Yeah. Or you can be very, very focused. In that case, you are not scalable. So you have to choose a balance.
Thank you both so much for joining me today and sharing everything about ACP. I'm very excited where this is heading. Thank you so much.